close this. And let me bring it up, get my iPad so that I can check the chat without having to have the video running. Let me, if you guys are talking in the chat, I can't see you right now, just so you know. I will have it up in just a moment. Okay, let's see here. Oh man, I have to compete with. Okay. Oh, I should probably. What? Oh, okay. I gotta bring up a web browser for this, since my iPad doesn't want to work. Come on, there we go. Hypixel. Okay. Put this here. Put this here. Okay, I should be able to see chat now, guys, if you want to use it. If you're watching the tutorial, or if you're going to be watching the tutorial, please use the chat in Twitch rather than asking questions in the on the build server if you're watching it, so that I don't have to try to read both things at the same time. Can I? Is there a way? Okay. In Fio, are the sounds decent, volume and stuff? I'm gonna change the title here too. Yeah, they're okay. How do I set you as a chat mod? Is there a way to do that? Ban user, op user? Is that how, I guess? Did that work? I've added Infio as a moderator. Okay, cool. So you'll be moderating chat now. Thank you. So if you guys want to watch the tutorial live on the creative server, you can do warp. Warp SG or warp LG. Warp slash warp G build tut for that, if you want to do that. Otherwise, it's going to be just watching it on Twitch. So yeah. Okay. So I think we're good, and we can get started a little bit here. Okay, so what I'm going to be covering for the most part today is going to be setting up and planning for a structure. So what we're going to be doing is getting what you should go through in a process of building a structure. Okay. Now, generally speaking, the main thing that I see the most that people do, which is a problem in their initial builds, is the fact that they don't do two things. One, they don't leave enough space to add depth or detail, or they have so much space that they don't know how to deal with it. So we're just going to be working on a small house, typical kind of medieval / Tudor house that we're going to be doing. Typical medieval house. So we're just going to start with a little odd numbered base thing. Now, another main problem that I see is the fact that, hold on, let me just broadcast again the tutorial. So another main problem I see is the fact that people generally will make just a square building, a rectangular building, which really isn't much interest. Now, the one thing that really helps is just the that will really help with your building is just the fact that you work with odd numbers. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to start with just a nice. We're going to start with a square here, but then we're going to add to it. So right now we have a square that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 high, and I guess it's 5 by 5. Now the one thing that we can do here, not quite 5. Did I end up with an even number? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oops. Change that real quick. Okay, and now what we're going to do to make this more interesting, rather than a rectangle, is we're going to start by adding another rectangle to it. So we're going to work off of our base structure here that we've built, and create another square off of it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's no way to close the staff chat. I'm just gonna have to ask them not to use it. So, hold on. There we go. Okay, so we're gonna start by adding a secondary rectangle to our first one. Now this will really help bring out some more interest in the build, as well as give you a lot of space to work with. So now that we have a sort of base structure for our first floor in the build, we're going to be adding our depth scale. Now I'm going to set up just a little bit of a block palette here. I really suggest that everybody uses a block palette when they're building. I'm just going to get some spruce and oak wood. And then also a little bit of, oh, okay, / multiplayer settings opacity 0. multiplayer settings 0. Or did that go to 0 or did that have to go to 10%? Went on 10%, but I can't see it, so that's okay. Okay, so now I can't see any of the chat. That's good. And we're obviously gonna have a couple detail blocks in here, like fences and stuff like our fences, and we're probably gonna maybe use trapdoors, but we can add that a little later. I'm gonna also include some cobblestone and some cobblestone, cobble stairs, and cobble slabs, and or cobble or stone stairs, I guess it is. On please stay off the plot. So okay, so we're gonna now start building a depth scale. We're gonna start with stone because it's a really nice, simple, neutral color. It doesn't have a lot of busyness. A lot of people will use cobble and it gets too busy. So we're gonna now build a basic depth scale, and we're gonna put our essentially move our to build depth in. We're gonna just move this in a bit. And then we could put one here for now, but we might change that with some detailing later. And we're gonna basically do this for all of the sides that are exposed to the outside. Now you'll notice that this very quickly starts to limit your interior space, and this is good and bad for you. This can be good or bad because generally people will often, when they're building larger builds, have way too much space to try to provide interior that'll look nice and proportional, since the majority of the blocks that we have are essentially Steve-sized, and we don't want to have, I mean, unless you're building extremely large scale and can build something that has like you can build a bed out of large full blocks, like out of wool blocks or something like that, it's not really going to work. So you need to really pick a scale of builds that will appropriately fit interior if you're adding it, which you should be adding anyway. Guys, if you're sending me messages in the regular chat, again, I can't read them. I have the opacity turned off, so I won't be able to read those. So as we continue here and we just build a depth scale, we're going to have very little space in between here, which is nice, because really we could add a door here and turn this into a bedroom or something small. Yeah. So now that we have a basic depth scale, we could kind of get a feel for where our build is going. So we're now going to think about, where do we want it to add another floor? Now we can have kind of a bedroom here. Like I said, again, guys, I can't read the chat. It's off, so please don't. I'm going to link the stream one more time. I'm getting pinged like crazy here. I'm streaming a build tutorial on. I'm going to take a moment and see what these people are saying. Oh. Okay. Turn this back off. Okay. Sorry about that. So now we're back to where we were. We have a nice basic depth scale. We're going to, I'm still getting pinged. I don't understand. I'm going to take a door, throw a door in. Now the main thing with a door is we don't want it to have it here, because that creates less. We can add a whole nother layer of depth. So you can see we have 1, 2, 3 layers of depth right now. Hold on a second. Multiplayer series. Stop saying my name in chat. I'm trying to stream. Thank you. You know, it really shouldn't be this much of an issue, but I am streaming on Twitch with a build tutorial. Do not say my name in chat, please. I'm just going to turn the sound off. I just turned it off. Unfortunately, now we don't get block sounds, but okay. So we're going to turn that back off now and get back to what we're doing. So we now that we have a basic depth scale, we could start to add a little bit of detail on the first floor here. I think we are going to add a second floor. We're going to just kind of add a little staircase here, and we can make adjustments to the building then based on our interior too. So since we're going to, I think, build our staircase starting here and maybe spiral it up a little bit, we can take out this corner and add another layer of interest in our overall build, because we will add this here, and we can have this come out like that, and add a little spiral staircase up to a second floor. Now, the one thing that I really suggest for everyone is when you are building, do not be afraid to change things. So often I see people who will go through and do an entire build and they won't change anything. So, I mean, how do you expect to get better if you don't try to make adjustments to your old builds, essentially? So we are going to basically, we put in the walls here, and I think we're just going to go with a ladder. So we can even kind of go with this look here, and again build out our depth a little bit. Take out this and put it here. So we have now essentially a 3x3 addition again. Now every single time you add something to your build, you're going to add a little bit more interest to it. So we can just, I mean, we could throw in the floor now, like just a basic floor for now. We might add more later, but that's okay. We can just do the rest of this. Now I think we're going to also add a door here, because this will be a bedroom, and that's just planning a little bit in the future. Be sure to plan constantly be planning for your build. Now I'm going to put in our ladder here, and I'm going to just put it right on a post here of a, a post of wood, but we could just put it directly on the stone, and we will build our second floor. Oops. We're going to build our second floor here and just layer on the floor. Now, one thing that sometimes works nicely is if you do slab off the floor instead of using full blocks. It gives you the opportunity to make a bit of interest on the bottom, where you can have some different shaping for the bottom floor. Now, like like you can add slabs on the bottom a lot easier, like such, etc. But oops, let's do that, and we're gonna just do that for now. Okay, so now let's start by adding some depth on the, or some detailing on the outside on the first floor, and then we'll work a bit on the second floor and how we're going to set up our roof. Now for the first floor, for the detailing in the front door here, mainly I like to use stairs a lot in terms of detailing because it'll help you frame in your door. Now we can set it up a little bit so that we have some interest between different colors. We can add our fences, which are oak colored, and our spruce, which is much more, much darker, obviously. And we can build in maybe just a little bit of a roof here and a little extension on it, like so, and even do this so that we can have a little bit of a shaping on the inside as well. Creates a nice overall texture. And just as a little bit of a detail, we can maybe, no, that'll connect. We don't really want that. But that can be kind of nice. We could even add a, oops, want that to be a stair up here, and another slab. Again, to create just a more overall interesting shape. And then just to be a bit more structural on the side, I'm going to start to use some more of the cobble textures. Let's get us cobblestone wall. So we can be a little bit more structural in our build in that sense, and add some more to that. Now the one thing that I'm going to do soon, we're going to pick a color block. I think we're going to go with like a red, maybe a stained clay. Let's go with purple stained clay for now. And we can add some color into our build. Now always be aware, as you can see this shows up over here, as we begin to add color, generally the best way to think about a color block is to, oops, not there, here, is to build it in as a as an addition to the main, or it should be relatively hidden. It shouldn't be fully shown. Here, if I saw a color block straight out like this, it just wouldn't look very good. Your color blocks should be relatively covered, partially in part. Like as you can see here, I have two fences, or a cobble fence and a regular fence showing just the color block here. And the same thing over here, and we only show half of it up here. So, and then we can go through and add a bit more on the rest of it. Maybe something like this, just to show a bit more support there, and then we can maybe throw another fence or something in here to show some more detail. So now we have a bit of an idea of how we're creating an initial, our initial detailing, and now we should probably, the best thing to do is to follow that sort of detailing through the rest of your build. Now you could obviously, you don't have to use stairs sometimes. A lot of people have different styles of how they do their building, whether that's with fences or slabs or stairs or everything or nothing, and they just build at a scale where they can use full blocks for detail. It's all kind of up to you, but this is more of like the standardized method. Now every time you're working in a different space, it takes a different amount of detailing, and how you set it up is really important. one of the great things is with being on a 3 or on an odd number is the fact that you can be symmetrical without having it doubled in the middle. So we're going to take some more of our blocks here and add some detailing on top of the side. Since we don't have as much really space or support in it, we can just do it with some wood structure more, maybe using more often the less strong the blocks that aren't quite as strong, not as strong as cobblestone or as maybe stone brick or something. Now we can go through here and even, oh, not there, sorry. We're gonna work on some windows soon too. But I lost my train of thought a little bit there. But we're gonna just go through and continue to do a bit of detailing as such. I like to often use spruce as a bit of a more structural block when I'm working with oak wood because it pairs up really well. Then you can also add some oak. Just grab it from over here, it'll be easier. Grab some full oak blocks maybe, but I don't know, that's seems a bit much. We can just add a let's see, what can we do here? I can try and use a bit of our, I can even, really what you can do here is you can just kind of build up the center here and we have a little bit of detailing where we have another just support in the main structure, and that might also add some interest when we're working on a roof. Now also when working with one wide spaces, often the best thing to do is to use just a small pattern that repeats. And maybe you can, oops, those blocks that flip all the time. I could just add a spruce wood full block in there, just like that. And it creates a little bit of depth, a little bit of stuff. And we could just also add, maybe we can add some color in here on the other side as well. We can do that later as well. Now, obviously the rest of this will kind of go around. We're not going to worry about it for a moment. You guys get the gist initially. So we're going to begin to add our second floor. Now, the one thing that I like to do that's often used in this style of build is we'll do a little bit of a extension on the roof here, and we could add some spruce here and here. We're just going to build a little bit of a, now this floor is going to be a little shorter obviously, but it will still contain a lot of interest. Now the one thing that's good with here is we can use slabs and add a bit more depth to it in terms of just looking up here. It's a little bit more interesting, a little bit of kind of a half block of depth vertically as we're moving through here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use a oak block here initially and also build up these sides as well. That looks good, and we're going to then continue on to build the rest of our supports. Now the one thing is we kind of have to make a decision here with this space that's kind of an insert. Maybe we could even add a little bit of a somebody added interior on me. People are messing around with me too much while I'm doing this. But we have to make a decision in how we are going to go about building a roof there. We can just do for now, let's just do another roof line here. And maybe we can we'll build this out a little bit and create a nice little room. And we can build this too. Just like that. And this can come out a bit. Oops. Stopped flying for a moment there. Just like that. Throw a spruce stair in there. That looks nice. Then we can also build up the rest of this. Throwing a couple more support, or a couple more logs. So we'll have a 4-high ceiling essentially. I mean, it's going to be a bit lofted initially, but we're going to work on that. So for the roof, I think we're going to just start working with spruce initially. And the first thing we're going to do is work out our roof angle here. Please stop spamming me with stuff, guys. We'll have a nice shaping here. We can flare it out a bit at the bottom. That looks good. That's some nice shaping. And then do the same on the other side. Good. Somebody's asking if I'm going to play Mega Walls. No, I'm not going to be playing Mega Walls. This is a creative tutorial. If you want to TPA to me, you could just do /warp build tut, or /warp space G build tut. For efficiency's sake, right now we're just going to have use a world edit here to stack across. Stack, I think it's about 10. Oops. Cut off this a bit. That's okay. We can build that up. And it's got to go a bit more. Stack 15. There. And we can just throw in our supports again. We can even take that one out. And that one. Good. So now the one thing that'll help add another layer of depth is using the roof to create more depth and extending the roof out accordingly. Now on our front here, we're just going to take off these top bits and we're going to create a second roof essentially. I think this is going to be a bit of a rounder roof. We can just throw like that. Good. Okay. Maybe we can use some slabs here to get a bit of a finer detail going, and then build out our roof accordingly. So we can bring this out to here and throw these up a little higher, and then bring out our slabs even more. Just like that. One thing that'll really help here is if we use some stairs to really help bring that out a little more, and we could also use some slabs here to add a bit more shaping and detail, like so. Now as we build the rest of this roof, how did let's see here. I want to have the same thing on both sides here. I think we used a slab there, and then a full block out, I guess. Now one thing that you could really think about when doing these types of builds is the interior is going to look different than the exterior. So you can essentially build your interior very different than your or you can build your interior so that it might have, or where you would expect support on the exterior, you could kind of remove it in the interior, like here. You can take these out, add a little bit more space. Don't want to remove that, obviously. But just taking out some blocks on the interior to add some more space. Now we can add some windows in, panes, we need panes. I like to use black stained glass because it adds a little color to it without it adds a little color without having or a little darkness without really having to see those lines in there that you get on regular glass panes. And we're gonna do the same thing, I think, on these sides here. Just we can just throw a little bit of a roof there, build this out a little bit. As you can see, I'm adding lots and lots of different roof lines, which help to really bring out the structure a little bit more. So we can add another block here and a nice little window. The same thing on the other side. Using spruce. And we get a nice little space that we could throw a bed, maybe add a desk or something. And we have our whole build really just kind of starting to come together nicely. The one thing that's bothering me a little bit right now is how the oak isn't really transferred down into the rest of it, so we can maybe change some of this, or some of this down here into some more oak stuff, just so that we have a connection between the two. And sometimes I like to add some little flower boxes that use some grass and throw a slab under there, or maybe add a stair. I think we'll do trapdoors, the typical trapdoors and flower boxes that you normally get on a server. Do the same thing in the middle here to help bring that out a bit more. We can have this on all sides. Maybe we can even what might be nice is if we actually wrap the flower box around here. Oops. So we have that going and a little bit of... No, maybe not. I don't think that'll work. So we'll just get these and grab some flowers, maybe allium, I guess. Blue orchid and a dandelion, I guess. That works. Throw that there, throw that there, throw that there. So, can you join? Johnny is the best. You can, if you come onto the creative server on Hypixel by typing /creative on the Hypixel network, then you can do /warp G /warp G build tut, I believe it is. You could come watch in person. The other thing, we can start to add a bit of depth in the rest of the structure. I think we're going to use wood, though, as our main structural block here. Oops. Because it's a little lighter than the stone that we have before. Throw this in here. Boom. We're just going to have that go right into here. One thing that often helps with larger structures, if you're having issues with filling the space with interior, is if you go through and do divide it up into rooms, it will really help, because instead of having to fill a ton of space with interior, with like interior for one thing, you're only trying to fill or you're trying to fill a lot less space each with interior. So I think for now we're just gonna we could create like a closet there. That'd be nice. Add these here. Fill in this a bit, so that our depth goes all the way up, and fill in here a little bit as well. I think actually here we're gonna add another window. Just can pull this in and do some more flower boxes as such. And we'll just take some bone meal this time and plop that right down. It's space. There's a space between it's slash warp space G space build tut. Okay, that looks fine. A little bit of grass, you know. We could just change this up a little bit to make it look a little better. That looks decent. Maybe even add another slab there just to help bring it out a bit. Now the other thing that we're obviously going to have to care about a little bit is the lighting. First we're going to finish this ladder. The lighting in the interior when we get to that point. So let's put in this window here. Oops. And we will continue a little bit on the exterior. Since somebody finished our interior for the downstairs, it seems. One thing that'll really help is if you do add windows, be sure to not have windows too big, because even though they add a half a block of depth, which a lot of people would consider fake depth, it doesn't add, or it really limits your use of detail, because it's a really big space that people will often fill up with windows that they could just add depth on. So we'll just do a little bit of some more depth in here, or some more detailing. Maybe we can add, we'll just toss those in there. Do a little bit of a design here. We could either add another flower box or add a window. We generally want to make sure we're staying with the theme. So what might be good is to create just a little design that we can keep going throughout. I have people with particles flying around me. Sometimes it doesn't work out. We got to make sure we add our color blocks in here though too. So we want to throw some in there, just like so. And that really helps bring out some of the things when we have the cobble or the oak blending in with each other. Then we can also add some, I think we'll just throw in another window here. Smaller window. I have the panes in my inventory already. Can't see them though. That looks nice, and we'll just work our way through. So generally you just want to work your way through like that around the entire thing. Like I said with the roof, be sure to try to add multiple roof lines. Like we have a nice area of depth here that we've added by bringing out this top. And we can you could even add if I got rid of that painting, you could add a door in the back, maybe add like a back garden area or something that you would have added to the build. I think that would be nice if we did that. And did this person, yeah, they did create a bedroom here. Nice little bedroom with a furnace and such. Again, on your interior,
even make it a little claustrophobic. In Minecraft, we like claustrophobic. We have caves and some dark areas. Often we can do a lot with confined spaces versus having too much space to work with. So I think we're just going to leave it right here on this. We've built, I've showed you how to do some depth. The main reason why we did this is to show how you plan out a structure, how you plan out a roof so that you could have an interesting roof shape and some roof lines, how to do a little bit of detailing and adding some color blocks, and obviously the little bit of interior we did do and somebody else did for me, I'm guessing was Infio there. Obviously I was kind of planning to have this upper room be a little bit of a bedroom as well. You could have added a closet and maybe a fireplace with a chimney going out. But yeah, so when you're thinking about building a structure, really think about making sure that you plan out the basic external structure of the building so that you know what space you're going to be working with. And again, don't be afraid to make changes to that when you're building so that you have a nice overall build long term. So we're going to leave it there. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned something. And I will see you next time when we're maybe doing something a little bit different.